Have you ever wondered if there's something more within you, like a powerful force, waiting for its moment to break free? Perhaps you've noticed how this reflects in your relationships with others, in your inner dialogue, or in a feeling of disconnection from yourself. What you're experiencing isn't just a coincidence. It's your feminine energy yearning to awaken. Feminine energy is like a deep river flowing within each of us, a force that grants the ability to create, love, feel, and live in harmony with ourselves. However, this energy is often constrained under the weight of fears, guilt, and limiting beliefs. So, how do you unleash it? How do you awaken and amplify this energy to live in accordance with your true essence? Today, we'll embark on a journey to explore how your feminine energy blossoms when you're in harmony with your consciousness, inspired by the wisdom of a woman who revolutionized our understanding of self-love, emotional healing, and the power of thought. Since time immemorial, feminine energy has inspired both admiration and awe. It has been revered as a source of intuition, creativity, and deep sensitivity, yet it has also been suppressed by systems seeking to diminish its influence. Nevertheless, this energy never disappears without a trace. It simply awaits the moment when it's remembered. And the first step toward realizing your true nature is to pay attention to your inner voice. Have you noticed how often throughout the day you criticize yourself in the silence of your mind? I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of love. I can't do this. We've been taught that every thought is a kind of affirmation, and that our inner dialogue shapes our reality. If we feed our minds with negative thoughts, our feminine energy weakens and fades. But what happens if we change our approach and start speaking to ourselves with love and compassion? Believe me, something within us will begin to transform. It's at this moment that the power of our mind comes into play. Establishing a strong connection with your inner self involves impartially observing the flow of thought and the spectrum of feelings, as well as making decisions based on a desire for love, rather than succumbing to fear. We've been told since childhood that healing begins with accepting yourself as you are. It's impossible to strengthen your feminine energy if you continue to reject certain aspects of your personality. Perhaps life experiences have taught you to hide your vulnerability because others have told you that you're too emotional. Perhaps you've suppressed your creative impulses, believing that you lack talent. However, the truth is that everything that makes up your essence is of immense value, and the more you allow yourself to be yourself, the more powerful your inner energy becomes. However, it's not enough to simply change the course of your thoughts. You must also feel. Feminine energy is deeply sensual. It manifests through the body, emotions, and enjoyment of life in all its forms. Reconnecting with it means allowing yourself to experience life in its fullness, without fearing to feel too much. When you suppress your emotions, when you force yourself to constantly be strong, your energy stagnates. But when you give yourself permission to cry, laugh, and move freely, without restricting yourself, something within you awakens to life. Another fundamental aspect that blocks feminine energy is unprocessed past experiences. Perhaps you have emotional wounds that you've never allowed yourself to open up to. Perhaps you're plagued by resentments, guilt, or fears that continue to weigh on your heart. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful keys to liberation, and it's not about justifying the actions of those who have hurt you, but about reclaiming your power by letting go of the pain. To forgive is not to forget, but to make a decision that your well-being is more important than continuing to carry the heavy burden of the past. When you choose to release resentments, your feminine energy blossoms and expands. And here is where the alchemy of transformation begins. When you surround yourself with care and love, free yourself from the burden of outdated beliefs, and allow your feelings to flow freely, without remorse, your life blossoms with new colors. You become the embodiment of morality, your intuition sharpens, and harmony reigns in your soul. Imagine how your life will transform if you greet each morning with unwavering confidence in your own worth, unconditionally trust your inner voice, your wisdom, and accept all aspects of your personality without fear or shame. This is the power of feminine energy, fully revealed. And the most amazing thing is that this source of power is already dormant within you, waiting for the moment when you acknowledge its existence. Okay, I will translate the provided text into American English, according to your instructions. Here is the translation. Therefore, today I urge you to make a promise to yourself, to speak to yourself with tenderness and understanding, to trust your intuition, to release the chains of the past, and to gratefully embrace the present. For when you are in harmony with your consciousness, when you accept your feminine energy without a shadow of a doubt, your life begins to transform in miraculous ways. When you establish a connection with your feminine energy, you begin to notice positive shifts in all areas of your life. These are not merely internal metamorphoses. Your environment also responds to these changes. Relationships become deeper and more sincere. Opportunities arise as if from nowhere, and what seemed unattainable suddenly becomes real. But why does this happen? Because feminine energy is not just an abstract concept or philosophical notion. It is a vibration, a magnetism. It is how you interact with the world. When it is in balance, you glide easily on the waves of life, rather than desperately fighting them. But when it is blocked, everything turns into a continuous effort, an endless struggle. One of the most captivating aspects of feminine energy is its connection to the ability to receive the gifts of the universe. In a society that has instilled in us that we must fight for everything, that only through hard work can we achieve what we desire, the ability to receive seems almost unreal. The feminine essence finds its true strength when you allow yourself to accept life's gifts without guilt or excessive resistance. Think about how many times you have been offered a helping hand, and you, proudly refusing, preferred to carry the burden of problems alone. How many times have you diminished sincere compliments, waving them off with a modest, "Oh, it's nothing special"? These seemingly insignificant gestures of refusal, like small bricks, build a wall in your subconscious with the inscription, "I am not worthy to receive." And remember, what is deeply rooted in your consciousness will inevitably manifest in your life. It is constantly emphasized how important it is to open yourself to abundance in all its forms. And this is not just about material well-being, but also about an abundance of love, good health, and deep connections with the world around you. When you sincerely believe that you deserve the very best, when you open your heart to the generous gifts of fate, everything begins to come into your life with amazing ease and grace. However, opening yourself to receiving is not only about being able to accept what comes from the outside. It also means allowing yourself to enjoy what you give to yourself. Think about how often you put off what brings you true joy. How often do you sacrifice your rest, your hobbies, your peace of mind to please others? Feminine energy blossoms when you give yourself the very love that you so desperately seek in the external world. And here, another key aspect comes into play: self-care. But not that superficial care dictated by fleeting trends, but a deep respect for your personality. The relationships you build with yourself are the most important in your life, because they are the foundation of everything else. If you neglect yourself, if you do not set aside time and space for your needs, your energy is depleted, and nothing can flourish in this fading garden. Self-care is a concept that goes far beyond the physical, extending beyond cosmetic procedures and days off. It is, first and foremost, a conscious attitude to what we allow into our lives on all levels. From the thoughts that fill our minds, to the relationships we maintain, and the emotions we cultivate. Imagine that your life energy is a fertile garden. Each thought, like a seed, awaits its hour. Each emotion is a life-giving moisture that nourishes the sprouts, and each experience is a ray of sunshine that gives life. If the garden of your soul is constantly surrounded by the darkness of negativity, if you live in the grip of stress and self-destruction, it will inevitably wither. But it is enough to consciously surround yourself with what inspires and nourishes, to speak to yourself with love, and to provide space for growth, for the garden to bloom, exceeding all expectations. Being in touch with consciousness means, first of all, being present in the moment, realizing what exactly you are cultivating within yourself. What seeds are you planting? Seeds of love and trust, or grains of doubt and fear? Another important aspect that strengthens feminine energy is self-expression. Often this energy is blocked when we stop freely expressing ourselves, when we remain silent out of fear of judgment or rejection. But when you allow yourself to openly declare your truth, your energy expands, filling everything around you. Expression does not always have to be verbal. It can manifest through art, writing, dance, through the courage to remain yourself in any situation. By expressing yourself without fear, you honor your feminine nature, giving it the opportunity to exist without limitations. There has been much discussion about the importance of the inner voice. Each of us possesses an inner wisdom, a kind of compass that is always ready to point us in the right direction, yet we often ignore it. This inner voice is a direct connection to your feminine energy. It is intuition, instinct, that inexplicable feeling that warns you against a wrong step. The problem is that the modern world has taught us to disconnect from this voice. We have been conditioned to doubt our own intuition, to seek answers externally, instead of listening to the knowledge already embedded deep within our being. However, as soon as you start trusting your intuition, everything changes. You stop seeking external validation and start making decisions based on inner confidence. Listening to the inner voice of intuition is no easy task, especially if you have neglected its signals for years. However, there are effective ways to strengthen this connection, to restore lost harmony. Meditative practices, immersion in silence, and solitary contemplation are powerful tools that can help you hear this inner voice more clearly, to unlock its potential. We are constantly reminded that everything that happens in our lives is a mirror reflection of our inner world, our innermost thoughts and feelings. If we aspire to change the reality around us, we must begin by rethinking and improving our relationship with ourselves. This means learning to trust your own inner strength, to listen to your wisdom that lies dormant in the depths of your consciousness. Often we have been taught to see strength as something external, as a resource to be conquered or acquired. However, true strength lies not in dominating and controlling others, but in a deep understanding of one's own essence and in living a life based on this truth. It means walking through life with confidence, expressing your authenticity, not being afraid to shine and unlock your potential. This is where feminine energy reaches its highest expression. Contrary to popular belief, this is not a passive force, but an expansive, creative, and transformative energy. It is the very energy of life, gushing forth and filling everything around it. When you establish a strong connection with your consciousness, when you stop fighting your own essence and start accepting yourself completely, everything around you begins to change for the better. Relationships become harmonious, new opportunities open up, and life becomes easier and more joyful. This happens not because external circumstances suddenly become ideal, but because you transform from within, radiating confidence and positivity. This is the true awakening of feminine energy, a return to yourself, to your origins. Feminine energy is also enhanced through a deep connection with the body. In modern society, where we are so focused on the mind, logical thinking, and constant productivity, we often forget to listen to the signals that our body sends us. However, the body is a kind of portal to our consciousness, a physical manifestation of everything that happens within us, in our inner world. Recently, there has been increasing talk about the close relationship between our emotions and our physical state. Every pain, any discomfort, even a minor physical symptom is seen as a signal, as a message from our body, indicating deeper problems that require close attention. However, unfortunately, instead of listening to these signals, we often prefer to ignore them, suppressing them with various distractions, constant stress, and harmful habits that separate us from our true essence. So how do we learn to hear our body? The answer to this question is simple, yet it possesses enormous power. We must learn to pay attention to our sensations. Breathing is one of the most accessible and effective ways to reconnect with the present moment. Remember how your breathing changes in moments of intense stress. It becomes rapid, shallow, as if you are in a state of constant alert. Conversely, when you feel safe and calm, your breathing becomes deeper and more relaxed. Observing your breathing allows you to understand what energetic state you are in. If you notice that you are holding your breath or breathing with difficulty, ask yourself, what emotion is behind this? Perhaps it is fear, anxiety, or worry. Instead of suppressing these feelings, allow yourself to experience them fully, without judgment or resistance. Movement is also a powerful tool for unlocking feminine energy. This is not about traditional exercises, but about giving your body the opportunity to express itself freely without any restrictions. Dancing, stretching, walking barefoot on the earth, spontaneous movements, all of these are ways to revitalize stagnant energy. Unfortunately, from childhood, we are often taught to be ashamed of our bodies, to compare ourselves to others, and to see flaws in them that need to be fixed. But feminine energy blossoms only when you begin to accept your body as it is, perceiving it as a sacred temple, as a conduit through which you live your life. It is important to remember that every part of your body deserves love and care. If there is a part of your body that you do not like, it is precisely that part that needs the most love and attention, since rejection creates energy blocks, while love promotes healing. Try a simple but effective exercise. Look in the mirror without haste or criticism. Just observe your reflection with love and acceptance. Instead of focusing on what needs to be changed, ask yourself, what can I thank my body for today? For the ability to move, to hug loved ones, to feel the warmth of the sun on my skin. By changing your attitude towards your body, you transform your energy as well. And here, another important aspect comes to the fore: pleasure. Feminine energy is inextricably linked to pleasure, but often we push it into the background, considering it something secondary, something that can be allowed only under certain circumstances. But pleasure is a powerful tool for healing. It is a door to expanding consciousness. Pleasure is not only physical sensations, but also everything that nourishes your soul. Listening to your favorite music, taking a warm bath, enjoying delicious food with full awareness, feeling a light breeze on your skin. All these are ways to honor and nurture your feminine energy. Society has ingrained the misconception that pleasure is something you have to pay for with guilt. We are subconsciously convinced that moments of joy must be earned, that the right to rest arises only after all obligations have been fulfilled. However, constant self-sacrifice and living in a perpetual race deplete our inner feminine energy. We were told that the world is full of blessings, that our destiny is to enjoy beauty, love, and abundance. But if we do not believe that we are worthy of it, if we deny ourselves the right to accept these gifts, they simply cannot enter our lives. Another cornerstone in harmony with consciousness and feminine energy is the ability to live in the present moment. The modern world relentlessly pushes us into the future, forcing us to make plans, set goals, and live in anticipation. Or, conversely, it holds us captive in the past, forcing us to relive mistakes, traumas, and painful memories again and again. But the true way to feel your energy is to be present here and now. Our mind is constantly looking for ways to distract itself. It keeps returning to unfulfilled tasks, paints pictures of possible failures, scrolls through words once said that we regret. However, our energy is focused in the present. Every time we return to our breath, to the sensations of our body, to the sounds of the world around us, we return to our center. And when we are truly present in the moment, everything around us is transformed. Conversations become deeper and more meaningful. Simple joys become brighter and more intense. And life ceases to be a pointless race and turns into an experience that can be enjoyed to the fullest. They constantly talk about the power of gratitude, and this is no coincidence, because it is gratitude that binds us to the present. When we experience gratitude, we stop thinking about what we lack and focus on what we already have. And surprisingly, the more we give thanks, the more reasons for gratitude we find. The energy of gratitude attracts even more abundance, love, and well-being into our lives. But there is something even more powerful than just gratitude: appreciation. Gratitude is not just a statement of fact of possession, but a sincere and deep experience of joy from it. It is not a formal thank you for the day, but an all-encompassing feeling of the miracle of life, breathing, perceiving the world with every cell of the body. This harmony with the present, bodily sensations, pleasure, and gratitude is not an instantaneous process, but a gradual one. At times you will feel full synchronization with your energy, at times alienation. And this is perfectly normal. It is important not to achieve perfection, but to gain awareness. The point is not the absence of negative thoughts, but the ability to notice their appearance and consciously switch attention. Not in eternal stay in a state of peace, but in the ability to return to it after each deviation. And when you start living from this position, the world is transformed. You stop fighting with life and start moving in unison with it. Feminine energy is inextricably linked to creativity, understood not only as the creation of works of art, but also as the ability to give life to the new. Every idea that arises in consciousness, every change in life, every relationship cultivated is an act of creation. However, in a world where logic prevails over intuition, this creative spark is often suppressed. We are taught to follow established rules, adapt to structures, and conform to expectations instead of exploring our own passions. And over time, this creative, expansive energy fades. Self-expression is a powerful tool for healing. When we allow ourselves to express ourselves freely, without fear or censorship, we open a direct path to our true essence. How often have you felt an inner urge to act differently than usual, but held back, fearing criticism and judgment from others? Perhaps you've had the desire to start writing captivating stories, creating paintings, expressing yourself in dance, drastically changing your image, or launching a new project. However, An inner voice, full of doubts and fears, stopped you on the path to self-expression. The fear of judgment is one of the most powerful barriers preventing the unlocking of feminine energy. It is a heavy burden that is passed down from generation to generation because historically, women who dared to differ from accepted norms were subjected to censure, punishment, and social isolation. This collective experience still lives in the depths of our consciousness, manifesting as doubts, self-doubt, and the feeling that in order to realize our desires, we need to obtain someone's permission. However, every time you make a choice in favor of self-expression, every time you decide to listen to your inner voice instead of silencing it, you break the chains of fear and reclaim your true power. And it's not about committing loud acts of defiance, but about making small but significant decisions in everyday life. For example, choosing clothes that truly bring joy and confidence, sincerely expressing your thoughts and feelings instead of trying to please others, being willing to try new things without fear of making a mistake. Creativity is not about striving for perfection. It is not an attempt to create something ideal, but enjoying the process of creation itself. One of the most inspiring phrases is, "Let life surprise you." And this becomes possible only when you allow yourself to experiment, explore the world without rigid expectations and pressure, without demanding immediate success from yourself. Often we mistakenly believe that creativity is the prerogative of the chosen few, endowed with a special gift. But the truth is that we are all creators by nature. From how we design our personal space to how we find solutions to complex problems, these are all manifestations of a creative beginning. To strengthen your feminine energy, start with a simple question: what can I create today? Perhaps it will be a new beneficial habit, a new daily routine, a new perspective on familiar things. Do not strive for grandiose, revolutionary ideas. Just be willing to open your heart to inspiration. And here the key concept comes to the fore: receptivity. Feminine energy is by nature receptive, which means that you do not always need to forcibly force events. Instead of desperately seeking answers, allow them to come to you. Instead of stubbornly following the intended path, remain open to new opportunities and unexpected twists of fate. That is why there is so much talk about the power of positive affirmations. They help reprogram our consciousness, tuning it to openness and receptivity. Repeating to yourself, "I am open to new opportunities. I believe that life is leading me on the right path. I am ready to accept love and abundance." You change the vibration of your energy, stop fighting circumstances, and begin to trust the flow of life. After all, there is a huge difference between actions dictated by fear and actions based on trust. When fear takes over, everything seems difficult and exhausting. You feel that it is necessary to make incredible efforts to achieve the desired result. But when you trust the world, often fateful decisions arise as if out of nowhere, and doors to new opportunities open almost effortlessly. And here another most important element of feminine energy comes to the fore: complete rest. In modern society, where the cult of relentless productivity prevails, the ability to relax and rest becomes almost an act of defiance. We have been convinced that our value is determined solely by our achievements, constant busyness, and the benefits we bring. However, feminine energy needs space for restoration and renewal. It's not just about getting enough sleep, but about creating moments of silence and peace in everyday life, about being able to allow yourself to do nothing without feeling guilty. During moments of rest and solitude, energy is restored, intuition sharpens, and creative potential awakens. Let us recall the wisdom of nature. Everything within it is subject to certain cycles, the change of day and night, the seasons, tides. In nature, nothing remains in a state of continuous activity. Unfortunately, in the frantic pace of modern life, we forget about our own biological rhythms. We constantly want to act, produce, give our all. Louise Hay rightly reminded us that the key to harmony lies in maintaining balance. It is not about abandoning activity altogether, but about knowing how to alternate periods of activity and rest, learning not only to give, but also to receive, not only to do, but simply to be. Observing these natural cycles contributes to the natural enhancement of feminine energy. Another crucial aspect of connection with consciousness and femininity is interaction with other women. For centuries, female solidarity has been considered a powerful force, posing a threat to those who sought control. Women's communities served as spaces for support, healing, and the exchange of wisdom. However, in modern society, we are often taught to see each other as rivals rather than allies. Feminine energy flourishes in an atmosphere of cooperation, not competition. When we stop comparing ourselves to others and begin to inspire each other, when instead of jealousy and envy, we rejoice in the successes of other women, realizing that their victories do not diminish our merits, but open up new horizons for everyone. Louise Hay asserted that by healing herself, a woman heals all the women who lived before her and those who are yet to be born, because every time one of us chooses self-love, she breaks down established stereotypes and opens up new opportunities for others. Therefore, surrounding yourself with women who provide support, inspire, and uplift is one of the most effective ways to strengthen your feminine energy. Strive to create a personal space where you can reveal your true essence without fear of criticism, where your life path will be received with understanding, without imposing someone else's standards. If such an environment does not yet exist, become a source of support for other women. Provide support, inspire, rejoice in their successes. By giving this positive energy, you will receive it back in multiple amounts, because the essence of feminine energy lies not in competition or the desire to prove something to someone, but in recognizing your uniqueness, in trusting your own strength and wisdom, in openness of heart and mind, in the harmony of soul with the world. Feel how your feminine energy flows freely, or feel its blockage due to expectations, fears, and prejudices. Often, unconsciously, we erect barriers that prevent connection with our deep essence. One of the most common obstacles is alienation from one's own body. Modern society has taught us to live in the mind, constantly analyzing and rationalizing, but little attention is paid to the importance of feeling the fullness of life in the body. Here lies the key point. Feminine energy resides in the body, in sensations and intuition. By neglecting the connection with the body, we distance ourselves from our true essence, lose the ability to enjoy, feel, and accept the world without judgment. Louise Hay spoke of the close relationship between emotions and the body, emphasizing that every thought and belief has a physical impact. It is no coincidence that many women experience tension in their shoulders, abdomen, or neck. That is where stress accumulates and suppressed emotions are stored. However, how do we restore the lost connection with our bodily self? One of the most effective methods is conscious movement, be it dancing, walking barefoot on the ground, practicing yoga, or morning stretches. Any physical activity that allows you to break free from the captivity of thoughts and immerse yourself in the world of sensations will be healing. Here, it is not about mechanically performing exercises, but about concentrating on the sensations that arise with each movement. Breathing also plays a crucial role in this process. Most of us breathe superficially and hastily, not allowing air to fully fill the lungs. But when you begin to practice deep and conscious breaths, a transformation occurs. More calmness, clarity of mind, and connection with the present moment appear. And here another key element comes into play: pleasure. Feminine energy flourishes in moments of enjoyment, but for a long time we were told that pleasure is something secondary and even selfish. We were taught that productivity, fulfilling obligations, and pleasing others are paramount. But what happens to what truly brings us joy? Louise Hay rightly reminded us that pleasure is not a luxury, but a vital necessity. Indulging in life's simple pleasures, be it delicious food without the guilt, the gentle warmth of the sun on your skin, a relaxing bath, or music that makes you vibrate with joy, is a way to honor your feminine energy. When you allow yourself to experience pleasure, your energy expands, your vibrations rise, and you feel more alive. Another aspect we often overlook is the importance of sensory perception. Feminine energy is inextricably linked to the senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. How often do you pause to savor the sensory details of the world around you? The texture of the clothes you wear, the aromas that surround you, the sensation of water on your skin. All of this affects your energy, even if you don't realize it. Therefore, surrounding yourself with things that evoke pleasant feelings is a simple but effective way to nourish your femininity. Aromatic candles, quiet music, pleasant to the touch fabrics, and a harmonious space. Small changes can transform your mood. Louise Hay spoke about the importance of creating an environment that reflects the energy we want to cultivate. If you strive for a greater connection with your true essence, pay attention to your environment. Does it inspire you, give you peace, and allow you to relax? Or is it filled with chaos, things you don't like, and stagnant energy? Your environment affects your energy much more than you might imagine. Minor adjustments, such as cleaning a room, adding elements that bring peace, and getting rid of anything that no longer resonates with you, can make a huge difference. Equally important in relation to feminine energy is the ability to hear your inner voice. Often we look for answers to pressing questions somewhere outside ourselves, in books, advice from others, social media posts. But what if you try to look inside yourself and listen to yourself? Intuition is an integral part of feminine nature, but modern society tends to underestimate its importance. From childhood, we are taught to rely more on logic than on instinct, to demand proof before believing our feelings. But intuition does not need proof. It is a quiet inner voice that is always ready to suggest the right solution. You just need to learn to hear it. Louise Hay, known for her self-development works, emphasized the importance of trusting your intuition. It often happens that our body feels the right answer before the mind has time to analyze it. An inexplicable feeling in the gut, a premonition of something important, an emotion that arises for no apparent reason. All these are signals that our intuition sends us. To learn to recognize them, it is necessary to create favorable conditions for this. In today's world, overflowing with noise, distractions, and a continuous flow of information, it is easy to lose touch with your inner voice. Therefore, it is so important to find time for silence, self-reflection, and unity with yourself. This could be meditation, journaling, or simply time spent in silence without any activities. The main thing is to give intuition the opportunity to manifest itself. Here, the concept of self-care comes to the forefront as a manifestation of self-love. Often we perceive self-care as something superficial, as a luxury that can be afforded only occasionally. But in reality, self-care is a way to express respect for your energy, to show love and appreciation for yourself. Louise Hay argued that our attitude towards ourselves directly reflects our inner relationships, If we constantly put our interests last, ignore our needs, and criticize ourselves, our energy is depleted. But when we treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, when we find time to rest, to do what we love, to nourish our mind and body, our energy is strengthened. And this benefits not only ourselves, but also affects our interaction with others. When a woman is in harmony with her feminine energy, she radiates magnetism and confidence. She doesn't need to make an effort to please, be accepted, or prove her worth. She just is, and that's enough. Feminine energy is not about striving to meet certain standards, following established rules, or fitting into an idealized image. It is, first and foremost, an awareness of one's true essence, living from love, not from fear, and trusting one's inner light. And the most wonderful thing is that this connection is not something external that needs to be sought. It already exists within us, and we just need to remember it. Have you ever wondered how our words, like invisible threads, form an energetic cocoon around us? The way we talk to ourselves, the vocabulary we use to describe life's ups and downs, even our everyday conversations with others, all of this directly influences the manifestation of our feminine energy. Louise Hay, the insightful explorer of the depths of human consciousness, tirelessly emphasized the immense power of affirmations and the importance of consciously choosing the words that leave our lips. Often without realizing it, we mechanically repeat phrases that, like poisonous arrows, pierce and weaken our energy. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. I don't deserve happiness. Something bad always happens to me. These words, seemingly harmless at first glance, have a truly destructive impact on our subconscious and on how we perceive ourselves in this world. Each time we make a negative statement, we seem to cement a limiting belief, building invisible walls around ourselves. It's as if we're programming our minds to see the surrounding reality through a murky glass of need, fear, and self-doubt. The saddest thing is that these destructive statements affect not only our minds, but also our physical bodies and energy fields. So how do we break this vicious cycle and change this established pattern? First of all, we need to become aware of the words we use in our everyday speech. Observe yourself, how you treat yourself in moments of failure and mistakes. Do you subject yourself to merciless criticism, punishing yourself with harsh thoughts like a guilty child? Now imagine what would happen if instead you treated yourself with love and compassion, as you would the closest and dearest person to you. Louise Hay strongly recommended using positive affirmations to reprogram the mind and raise energetic vibration. Affirmations such as, I am worthy of love and abundance, I trust my intuition and my inner wisdom, my energy is powerful and flows freely, I allow myself to freely accept and give love, can work real miracles. It is noteworthy that it is not enough to simply repeat these phrases mindlessly, like a mantra. In order for them to really take effect, it is necessary to feel them with every cell of your body. Saying, I am good enough, while deep down you continue to doubt it, will not bring the desired result. The key to success is to integrate the affirmation with the corresponding emotion, to let it pass through your heart. Feminine energy draws its strength not only from thoughts, but also from deep, sincere emotions. When you affirm something from the bottom of your heart, when you really feel it in your body, then your inner vibration begins to change. And when your vibration changes, everything around you, like a mirror, begins to reflect these positive changes, filling your life with harmony and light. The language we use has a profound impact, not only on our inner state, but also on our relationships with others. Have you noticed how the atmosphere of a conversation is transformed when it contains words of kindness and participation, as opposed to harsh or negative statements. Words have their own energy. Some are able to inspire, heal, and encourage, while others, on the contrary, deplete, exhaust, and provoke discord. Paying attention to your speech is of great importance, as it reflects our inner content and affects those around us. If you strive to enhance your feminine energy, start consciously choosing words that nourish your soul. Speak with love about both yourself and other people. Turn your voice into an instrument of healing, capable not only of conveying information, but also of shaping reality. As Louise Hay stated, our convinced statements become our truth. Ask yourself, what truth do you want to live in? A truth based on trust and love, or a truth permeated with fear and limitations? We offer you an effective exercise. Dedicate a whole day to refraining from any negative statements about yourself, even in jest. Whenever a critical thought arises in your mind, replace it with a positive affirmation. At first, this may seem unnatural or strained, but over time you will feel changes happening within you. After all, by changing your language, you change your energy, and the transformation of energy, in turn, transforms your life.